Imagine a crew of incredible companions, each one a reflection of your deepest desires and a spark for your independent spirit. Intrigued? This video introduces you to 9 inspiring SoloAger personas, or characters, or some people call them avatars. They start off as imaginary friends who start conversations about the art of solo aging on your terms, filled with adventure and connection. As you meet others, these persons can become a persona, a friend, a mentor, a walking companion, a fellow adventurer to share the solo aging journey. With your own personalized personas and your walking friends, prepare to be inspired by the conversations and stories as you discover and transform your life. What we have to remember is that a solo ager is on a unique journey for themselves, but they also get the benefit from the adventures together with others. I know. Hi, Stephen here. I'm a solo ager and I'm an eco creator and mentor. What does that all mean? Well, I've come to understand that I am solo aging in my next 50, and I'm having a lot of fun doing that. And in that realization, I started to come to terms with, well, what is it that I would really like to do in my next 50? I spent many years, 40 some years, in corporate and nonprofit. And now I find myself, I have a small business going. What might I do with it? So I turned my attention to this notion of the art of solo aging and living a legacy life. And I brought to the foreground my own sense of eco creator. There is the notion of creator, co creator, eco creators, and I'm doing it in benefit of the environment, the planet. And then I said to myself, well, hang on a minute. I've spent many years being a facilitative mentor. Could I continue to do that? And I said, oh, for sure. So I am mentoring solo agers in living legacy life and also mentor them in mentoring as an education approach that they can use to share their lived experience and share ideas and have conversations with other youngers and olders. So that's a little bit about myself. I mention it because what I do is I want to take a look at this notion of how do these 9 personas inform your solo aging journey. That I've created these is because I'm a writer and I like characters and I develop characters. I'm also enjoying my technology involvement and creating and paintings, watercolor paintings with the assistance of artificial intelligence. So staying in touch with that. But what started to become important was if I was talking about avatars in the technology world and characters in my writing, what might I call these imaginary companions that I created for myself? So I use personas. And these personas are ones that remind me of different elements of this notion of living in with solo aging intentions. And I said to myself, well, I think they would make a great video for other solo agers to tap into because maybe they don't have these friends. So could they create their own personas of the kind of elements of life that need to be brought to the foreground before they find friends or mentors to help them out? And I said, okay, let's uh, let's produce this video. And so what I've done is here are the 9 personas that I interact with in my life. Now I have them in my imaginary components, but I also have friends, other walking companions that I can speak to about these areas. And that is something I've been able to blend in terms of this imaginary real life so that I always have different persons to interact with and to have some really great conversations, even with my imaginary personas. So here are the 9 here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into each one of them in a little bit more depth so that you can come to understand what they are about. Now, I would also like to offer is that I'm going to be sharing a broad brush of these 9 personas. So I'm not digging deep into each one. I have set up a solo aging challenge where you can come and meet these personas and find out a little bit more about them. And do you want to bring them into your life, or do you want to check the list that, hey, I've got the friend who is doing this one? So just remember is that this is an overview of each of these 9 personas. So the first one is the SoloAger Explorer. Now, this is the one where I'm encouraging you to seek new experiences and adventures regularly. You can travel, yes, but you can do things close to home as well. So think about the kind of experiences that you'd like to give into. And certainly embrace lifelong learning by attending workshops and courses. At the company that I've created, we have workshops and courses that advance and amplify ideas around solo aging. Now, yes, as I mentioned, you can travel to different places to broaden horizons and perspectives. Where I live, in 40 some minutes, I can be in the mountains. And that is a different place from being in the prairies. So it doesn't mean you have to go far and do a river cruise. You can do things around where you live and see what else is out there. The priority selector was there to remind me to identify and focus on what truly matters in my life. Sometimes I forget that and I need a little reminder, and my priority selector pops in and says, "Hey, hey, hey, what's going on here?" And I go, "Oh, right, all right." And that what and then what happens is I reassess my personal goals, my priorities, and do some adjustments. And I have to keep remember to do that regularly. I also is figure out how do I want to allocate my time and energy efficiently to maximize my fulfillment. And that means days and weeks and months. So I take my priority selector and look at what's going on. My story reviewer is here to encourage me to participate in social events and community activities. Doesn't mean I have to actually be there in person. I could be doing it online. Because with this story reviewer, I'm also trying to figure out what's the noise and what's the news, because I have to discern what I am taking in, what I am learning to make sure that it's for the best of me. So that means I need to build and maintain meaningful relationships with diverse groups. I have this sort of rule of thumb that if I have an idea, I go and look at 2 other um, persons who have the ideas that I'm looking for. It's called triangulation, just to test out what's taking place and see what agreement is. Maybe if those 2 disagree with me, better look at it. If one agrees with me, I might go, if 2 of them agree with me, all right, I think we're on track with where I want to go. And then I make my decisions from there. This also is to encourage you to evaluate and improve your social connections for a better well living, better being, and better well living. These notions of social connections is sometimes with solo aging, without that family around us, we sometimes slip into a little bit of, we can use words like loneliness or isolation, and that's not a lot of fun. I've been there. It's not the way that I want to go about living my life and being well. So I have different connections. Some are in person and we get together. Some are online. So I always keep remembering the story reviewer is there to keep making sure that I'm staying in touch with the news and not the noise. The next one is Resource Assigner. And this is one about looking at the allocation of your financial and material resources wisely to support your future needs. And an interesting tidbit or story that came for me was because I'm a digital nomad solo ager. In other words, I don't own a home. I do a little bit of traveling. I dog walk and house sit for friends and just live a different life. Is that I started to appreciate that things that I've accumulated, the material I've collected, is really not of any great use to me now. So what I've been doing in my legacy life is actually just digitally copying my papers and my poetry, and thus getting rid of a lot of books that I've used, and just paring everything down. So my resource assigner always reminds me to go check my bins and what can I do with them. And I've got it down to I think I've got 14 sort of Rubbermaid boxes, those rubber bins that I have with me whenever I'm moving around. The other thing is to invest time in researching and selecting beneficial resources. Uh, don't necessarily jump at it and go into it. Do a little research. Then you can figure out how far you want to jump in. And share resources that you have and knowledge with others, because it's true that you educate what you love to learn. So if you're learning and you're educating, this sort of cycle goes on, and it's a great way to live your life. The tech helper, and I certainly encourage all of us as soul agers to stay connected with the tech of the world, because there's lots of technology that is there to help us in our solo aging and in our aging process. So stay updated with the latest technology trends and tools. Uh, for myself, using video editing equipment and creator equipment to create images like some of the ones that you see here. These are all new technologies that have come along, because I remember when I wrote my first email and I went, oh, really, this new technology. And here I now working with all different kinds of technologies, bringing this even to you through this online communication. And assist others in navigating, because that goes back to that idea you educate what you love to learn. And implement the tech solutions that simplify and enhance your daily life. I have done that with, making sure I've got a great phone that does everything I need it to do, and it's there like a little mini computer. And that has been very helpful in my life. And whatever other technologies I can find to support me, I look for. The next one to look at is the Enviro Sustainer, and it's to advocate for and engage in environmentally friendly practices. There are a lot of stories and upheaval and new thoughts around how we are to be with the planet. And this Enviro Sustainer is just to remind you to stay in touch with that. And what does that mean? And what practices have you adopted? And you could participate in community cleanup and sustainability projects. That's one way. Another is to educate others on environmental conservation. That's great. For me, I do it through nature awareness writing, and what I plan to do is publish that writing, the poetry and books and images that I create, and use it as a way to raise funds for nature awareness projects around the world. There's a couple that I'm interacting with. One in Africa, and then I've got another one here in Canada, and then something close to home. So I'm looking at how I might be able to use those resources to um, stay in touch with the environment and ecology, and at the same time benefit projects. The Wellness Weaver is to prioritize physical and mental health, mental emotional health, through exercise and self care routines. This one is something that I've had to pay attention to, just simply because I need to make sure that I'm still walking and enjoying my time in nature. So I am forever walking. Every day I put in 6,000 steps minimum. And then on every other day, I tend to do about a 12,000 step walk a, along a creek in the road and along a wooded path in the forest, so that I really get an opportunity to benefit from the enviro aspect of things, the ecology aspect of things, to really support my mental health, my emotional health. I also pay particular attention to my eating habits, and so that I can enjoy what is given to me, but also have the energy to move around and do what I enjoy outdoors with the walking. So, this physical, mental, healthy eating, the Wellness Weaver, I would certainly ask you to lean into this one and really pay attention to it. And you can promote and support wellness initiatives within the community. That's there for you as well. And sometimes you might be amazed with the kind of activities you can get involved with and the learning that you can do. The social architect is to remind you to facilitate and nurture connections with groups and individuals, and between individuals and groups. This notion of networking, because of your lived experience, the experience you've had in maybe career or profession, jobs, whatever it might be, that you can introduce others to others and see if you can spark up some really neat conversations, because that may lead to new friends for you. And you could organize events and gatherings to strengthen community bonds. Sometimes getting involved with a festival or something doesn't mean you have to organize, but it might organize an event inside a bigger event. That might be possible. And again, act as a mentor or guide to help others build meaningful relationships with themselves and with others. This is where mentoring as a legacy, one of the programs that we have available, you could tap into and use it to leverage your own social architecture. The Action Master, this one is here to remind you, hey, you can gather lots of knowledge and lots of ideas, but you got to put it into action if you really want anything to take place. So make sure you set and achieve those personal professional intentions with determination. Now, for some, you might say, well, I'm retiring out of my profession. Great. Others say, well, I think I'll keep going with some aspects of my profession. Some people might say, I'm going to retire right away from my job. I don't want anything else to do with it. Some people might say, hey, I might continue doing some things with my job, bring element A, B, and C out, but I'll leave D, E, and F. I won't touch those, and that's okay. So, again, just think about what actions you want to take because of your experience. So, how do you want to leverage your experience as a way to remain relevant? Lead by example and encourage others to take action. That's where you can pop back into that mentoring, or if you prefer something like coaching or training or instructing, and you have ways in which to do that, and you have topics to cover, great. You can do that online too. And to seek improvement and challenge oneself to grow. That is something of a, I say to myself every day, what is it that I'm going to improve? What is it that I'm going to grow so that I can be for the world, with the planet, from the whole? So those were the 9 personas. And those are about some aspects of real conversations that they can bring to you. And so I was thinking, what are some of the ways that I have played games with these 9 personas? So they're not just sitting there like a board council and they're waiting for me to enter the room. Sometimes I have them pop in and out and we play games together and sort of say, hey, what's going on? And that sort of reminds me, hang on, who of my friends can I invite in to take up these personas? And that just reminds me of ways in which to do it. So when I mentioned about the council or board, I was thinking about people sitting around a table, but there is a board game you could come up with. You could take this 3x3 and play board games with it, such as I always leave SoloAger in the bottom um, left, and I always keep Action Master up in the top right, but I'll move the other ones around and see what story or what activities I can come up with. So it's a bit of a board game. Now, this was just one of the arrangements that I had. Works for me, but you may go, oh, I think I'd like to put this here, I like to put that there, and move it around. So play with it. It's a board game. You can turn it into a snakes and ladders game if you want. There's lots of things you can do to have fun here. To me, it looks like a tic-tac-toe game. So you could play roll a dice, and if you're playing with someone and you want to have a conversation, and roll the dice, whoever gets the highest number gets to put where they want to put their X or O, and at the end of the game, where are all the X's and O's, and that's what you each have got to present to the other. You're the conversation starter. So a game of tic-tac-toe. You could take this, copy it, and put it up on a dartboard and throw a dart and say, today I'm going to pay attention to, and I'm going to invite into my conversations, my living my extraordinary legacy life, my life, and just have some fun with it. Another one is that it also looks like a hashtag. So for those of you who do research and want to learn a little bit more and use the internet, you could hashtag tech helper and see what you come up with, or some version thereof, or hashtag action master and see what other ideas. And you could do hashtag action master, hashtag SoloAger and see what comes up. So it's again, it's just a reminder to use the internet. And then who of your friends are in these different personas? Celebrate them, acknowledge them, amplify what they've got to share with you. And where are you one of these persona for someone else? And can you get to a point where you're all 9 personas? You are one of those personas as a friend for someone else. Again, it's a really great game to play. So I thought I'd share it with you. These are ways in which that I am putting to use these personas. Now, as we're moving out, I'd just like to thank you for watching. And please subscribe, comment, like, share wherever you find this video. Wealthmovement.com is the name of the company. You can look us up on the internet. We have resources there. There's a store, blog, catalogs of courses and workshops that we're putting together. We have a YouTube channel, Wealth Learning TV, which most likely this is where you found this video. If not, you may have found a link, but it'll take you to this YouTube channel, Wealth Learning TV. And just before we leave, I have an ask of you. If 1 or 2 or 3 of these personas is something you would like to explore more about on a personal basis, there are mentoring programs available. But if you have a request to say, hey, listen, Stephen, would you shoot a little bit more about this, go a little bit deeper, and give us a video on it? I'll certainly take that into consideration, and I would appreciate knowing those preferences from you. So with that, take care and enjoy living your extraordinary legacy life.